Craig Brahaga, the Barbecue Ninja here. I'm at the campus of Royal Oak Enterprises, and I'm with our newest ambassador, Duce Raymond of Duce's Wild Barbecue. And welcome here, Duce.
Man, so happy to be here, Craig. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be part of the Royal Oak team, and this is really exciting being down here for the first time.
Well, I tell you, it's an honor to have you here. Just a few questions for you leading into the interviews and kind of what we're doing is, how did you first get into barbecue and your what pulled you in there?
That's a long answer to that question.
Well, give us the short version.
The simple answer is I was born into it. My dad is the chef that created Sweet Baby Ray's, so I've been around it my whole life. Even when I was a little kid, that's when they first started going to the Mike Ryko Rib Fest, where Sweet Baby Ray's really got its start, and kind of been around it my whole life. My dad was the chef by training, so anytime he was cooking, I was always interested in it. And as I got older, I wanted to, learn how to cook and be part of the family business. My dad was a chef. Uncle Dave was running the barbecue sauce business down in Chicago. We were living up in Wisconsin, and my dad had his own restaurant, so I was doing everything from coat check to washing dishes. And then as I got a little older, started working on the line, and I was always interested in it. I, was a chubby kid growing up, and I ate all the food, and I loved it. I loved being part of it. And my dad was a tough guy to work for. He was a typical chef back in the, early 80s and 90s, and he made the waitresses cry and stuff like that. And so I always tended to be kind of like, either you follow exactly how your parents are, or you're kind of like the opposite. So with my dad, as far as temperament goes, I was like the opposite. I was always like, nice and cordial and wanted people to like me. And that's helped me a lot throughout my career. Sometimes I wish I was a little harder on people, but I think overall it's been, a benefit to be, you get more bees with honey.
That's a fact. That is a fact.
But as I progressed throughout my career and went to culinary school, anything that we had to do a report on, or we could kind of dictate what we were going to talk about, I wanted to learn more about barbecue. So I did reports on barbecue. I did barbecue projects. For my final exam, I showed them how to smoke ribs, and I did like a blueberry barbecue sauce to get a little chefy with it. And, it's something that I love. I love the people of barbecue, the food, the whole process, the smoking process, something that the smell that you get from the smoker, the look of that meat, that mahogany color. I mean, I love the whole thing about barbecue.
Well, I tell you, it's I don't want to say it's a trend, but it is something that's happening more and more these days, is having the chefs cross over into the barbecue world.
Yep.
And they're bringing or infusing a lot of different flavors and profiles and just a little more creativity to it. And we love what we see. I mean, obviously having you on our roster, and we've got, a couple of other chefs as ambassadors on our roster that really bring that just originality to it. And we love that. Let me ask you real quick, who is your biggest inspiration in barbecue?
That's really, there's so many guys I look up to in barbecue. I got to go with Uncle Dave. I mean, my mind is still blown how they started Sweet Baby Ray's and grew it. When I look back and think about the time they did it, without the internet, without social media, and them not knowing the business, the retail space. I have Uncle Dave and all these other guys like Heath Riles here and all the knowledge they have. It's still hard to break into that space. And now it's hard for different reasons, because there's so many other competitors. But back in the day, there wasn't a whole lot of competition, but there also wasn't that big of a market for it. And the perseverance, the hard work, and just the grit that they had back in the early days really is inspired. And now Sweet Baby Ray's is just, it's a true American dream story. They started, my dad and uncle grew up on the west side of Chicago without a pot to piss in. And they grew Sweet Baby Ray's with $2,000, barely a high school education and a dream, and they built it to a $30 million brand. And then they sold to Ken's Foods in the year 2000. We retained the name to use for restaurants and catering. And since then, Ken's has blown Sweet Baby Ray's up to over $1 billion. And it's amazing. It's the best-selling barbecue sauce in retail history. And, we don't own that brand anymore, but it's still part of my family history. And I'm still proud as a Peacock about Sweet Baby Ray's. And, it's just an amazing story.
For somebody that's looking at getting into barbecue or getting into sauce and rubs and working their way towards that and has those goals and aspirations, what's some of the best advice you can give them?
That's a good question. It's a tough market right now because there's so many good guys on it. There's, the Malcolms and the Heaths and so many countless others that have great products already. So it's a really tough market to break into right now. And I'm trying to do it myself. But I would say get your product down first, and that's almost the easy part, make a really good product, whether it's a sauce or rub. And then you have to get awareness. So the best place to get awareness today is online and social media. And once you build that audience, then you can start leveraging some of that to try to get some sales. But, I'm not going to lie, it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy, especially given how much competition there is right now.
Tell us a little bit about your competition barbecue success and how you got into that.
Well, competition barbecue for me was just kind of like a match made in heaven. I'm competitive by nature. Started in grade school with basketball, and then as I moved into culinary school was all the little culinary competitions with other students. And I could tell some kids didn't really care if they won. They were just going through the motions. I always cared. I always wanted to be the best. I always wanted to excel. And in about 2010, we were cooking at this festival in Elk Grove, which is like one town over from where the shop is. And Dave's like, you got to see what's going on here. It's not just a festival. There's this other barbecue competition thing going on. And it turned out to be a KCBS barbecue competition. Well, we were walking around and meeting some of the teams. And I was like, this is like too good to be true. They were hanging out, they were drinking, there was camaraderie and then competition all in one. And for me, that was just amazing. So I went into it from 2010 to 2018. I got real serious about it. And it was so exciting because it just took like all my passions and interests all like condensed into one thing. And that crunch time of when you're turning in all those boxes, that gets,
it's a lot of adrenaline.
It is a lot of adrenaline. It's so much fun. And then waiting for awards and they're counted down and it's getting closer to one and they didn't call your name yet. And it's like, man, that is just so much fun. And you get to meet so many good people during the competitions. And it really kind of helped me formulate some of the sauces and rubs that we have today too. So it was a really good thing. I don't compete as much anymore just because it's so much time and expense. And now I've got young kids and they've got a busier schedule than I do.
That happens.
Yeah.
And it's like you said through us talking, when you get that first call and you get recognized amongst your peers, that feeling is to me is no feeling like it. So that's what hooked you. What was your first call?
So we were at this little competition, and it wasn't actually a proper KCBS competition. It was at what do they call it? It was like in the middle of the winter in Chicago. So it's like freezing cold outside. We're drinking all morning. We're cooking everything. And it was ribs, chicken, pork loin, and sausage were the categories. It was KCBS style, but they didn't have the big cuts because it was just a single day cook because it was in the middle of winter in Chicago. And it was 6th place chicken. And I thought I was on the top of the world.
Well, you were.
I was feeling no pain, I can tell you that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's that probably got expensive for you after that.
And you know, another thing for it being in the catering and restaurant space is, you know, what I tell people is like, I've done almost everything in barbecue, from catering to restaurants to competitions. And then another category is the ribber events. Now the ribber events is like the Reno Rib Fest, where it's like these guys just cook cases and cases and cases of ribs, and they travel around the country. There's a whole other little network of guys that they're ribbers, and that's what they do every year from like May to September. They just travel around the country to all these ribber events. And so we got into that too. Naperville, there's a big one.
There is, yeah.
So in 2012, we did our first Naperville. Didn't get a call. The second year, I had learned some stuff from the KCBS side, and we ended up winning second place in sauce and first place in ribs. And man, those come with the big ass trophies. that was really exciting.
And I tell you, those things are so cool too, because they put up these awnings and they've got like, you know, best rib in the world voted by. They've got all these dates, and it's just this big, because they're trying to catch your eye, of course. You know, and people getting in line, and they're like, oh my gosh, they won this, won that, won this, won that. And of course, some of them are like, you know, we won the Oklahoma backyard, you know, something. And you're like, oh, okay, never heard of that one. But yeah, those are fun.
We've won now over 100 awards in the last, 10 years, with KCBS and Naperville Rib Fest, and I've got some sauce awards through NBBQA. So it's just a lot of fun, and I think it helps build confidence and kind of momentum with your brand that you're building too.
Yeah. Well, tell me something about what you saw in Royal Oak, and having a relationship with them and what that means to you.
So it means a lot to me because I feel like there's a recognition that I'm important. I mean, when you guys reached out to me, it was like, it really made me feel good that what we're doing online and what I've done in my career, it means something to a big company like Royal Oak. And so that made me really feel special. On top of, the products is something, especially the lump charcoal, I've used for years from Royal Oak. And I think they turn out a great product. And the other thing that I think is really cool is the community that you guys have built. The other ambassadors for Royal Oaks are, those are people that I want to be associated with. So I thought it was such a neat opportunity and something that I'm excited to keep growing in,
Well, you probably mentioned just then what your favorite Royal Oak product is the lump charcoal.
Well, I will say that that's the one I've been using the most. And for grilling, yes, I love the lump charcoal. But with the new pellet smokers, the charcoal pellets are amazing.
Yeah.
I think that they burn really smooth and even, and it puts out a great flavor. And something that I'm really excited about is the new one with the wood and the charcoal combined.
Yeah, that hickory and the 100% charcoal, because we found through the years is what a lot of people were doing. They were getting that charcoal flavor and the efficiency of that charcoal pellet, and then they were mixing some different flavor woods, and of course hickory is the most prevalent. So that's what we start out with. We'll see where we go from there.
Sure, you never know.
So yeah. So what's your favorite grill to cook on? The grill itself.
So a good old Weber kettle is my favorite grill. Now that's the grill. That's what I grew up on. I mean, I've got a rib recipe that my dad and Uncle Dave have used for years, where you take 26 charcoal briquettes on each side. Then you cook the ribs on a standing up rib rack, and takes about 2.5 to 3 hours. And there's just nothing else like it. You get that charcoal flavor, and they're not fall off the bone ribs. You got to bite them off, but you glaze it with a little Sweet Baby Ray's or Duce's Wild, and it's just nothing better. To me, that's childhood. I mean, it brings me right back there to 4th of July with my dad, and those are special times.
Yeah. So looking forward, where do you see yourself and Duce's Wild and going forward and in the future?
Wow. Yeah, that's a good question too. So right now we have the catering business and the small Sweet Baby Ray's restaurant, but we actually just invested in the property adjacent to that restaurant, and we're going to build out the very first Duce's Wild restaurant. Awesome. So we're really excited about that. We're just in the process of starting the design and how the kitchen is going to be laid out, and we're going to have a drive-through. So that's like the next big thing I'm working on. But especially after being here this weekend and he's getting in my ear about the sauces and rubs. So, I mean, that's always been something that we're focused on. We're just taking baby steps right now. But the sauces and rubs is one part. The Duce's Wild restaurant is another one. And then, I mean, my main focus is still the catering business because that's the biggest thing. That's the engine that's driving everything right now. So I need that to be successful. We've got an awesome team. We've got a new general manager, director of culinary, catering sales manager. I mean, my team is tight as it's ever been. They do an amazing job. I'm there. I don't have to do a lot of the day-to-day stuff, but I'm still talking to the managers every single day. I'm still in the office every single day. But we've built an amazing team, and they're doing an awesome job. I just need to continue to focus on that. Like I said, that's the engine that's driving everything right now.
As long as you got that cell phone, you're never away.
That's right. They know it too.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, Duce, I want to tell you, I appreciate you coming to campus. Looking forward to a great relationship, having you a part of the Royal Oak family. And I tell you folks out there, look for great things to come because this guy's fixing to do it.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.